Joshua Schwartz here on the river making tomato soup, grilled cheese sandwiches. The best thing, I think, on a chilly day like this on the river is a grilled cheese sandwich, a hot grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. I mean, it can't be beat. I made the tomato soup before I came out, and the tomato soup that I make has some rice in it to thicken it, so it's real creamy that way. It doesn't have cream in it. I'll put the recipe up for that, but I'm not going to make it on the boat. But I will show you a little secret on this. Is I like to take a little V8 and pour it in while I reheat it to, number one, thin the soup out a little bit, but also to add a little bit more flavor to it at the end. When you're out in the outdoors and you're doing two things with one burner like this, it's always good to do something ahead so you can serve everything hot together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heat up the tomato soup and I'm gonna pour it into this thermos so it stays hot while I make the grilled cheese sandwiches, so then we can have hot soup and grilled cheese sandwiches with only one burner. So while that's starting to heat up, I'll start prepping for my grilled cheese sandwiches. Just like the last video, I use this bread from Della Fattoria. It's in Petaluma, awesome bakery. Awesome story, all hearth baked breads out of a wood-fired oven. This is their levain. This is basically a sourdough. So we're gonna have 3 sandwiches. I like to use 2 different cheeses in grilled cheese. I like to use one cheese that's creamy and flavorful and one cheese that's like the ooey gooey stringy cheese. It can be provolone or mozzarella, and that cheese that has more flavor and gets creamy, cheddar, Havarti, Gouda, all those cheeses melt real creamy. So mixing those 2 cheeses together, to me, makes the best grilled cheese sandwich. So I got provolone today, and then I have Petaluma Creamery white cheddar, and we're gonna do a mix of those 2. It doesn't take a lot of cheese to make a grilled cheese. I think too much cheese and it gets sloppy, and to me it's about that perfect balance of cheese and bread and the crispy part of the bread and the soft part of the bread and all those textures that are going on. So I'm not going to get crazy with a ton of cheese in there. I love cheese, but there is such thing as too much. Soup needs a quick little stir. Cheddar cheese. Breaking the cheese up a little bit so it doesn't overlap the bread and make a mess in the pan. That's it for our cheese right there. So now we have our sandwiches built. Our soup is coming up. It's nice and hot. Slide that over, and I'm just gonna taste it and make sure it's got the right seasoning. Needs a little black pepper. I have this Polynesian salt, it's a sea salt, really nice salt. I'm gonna add some of that. A little hot sauce, the wine barrel hot sauce, same hot sauce I used on the last episode. Gosh, there's like 30 types of pepper in here, and they're fermented in a wine barrel for 2 years. So it's got a lot of cool flavors going on. Put a little bit of that, and then anybody who wants more can add more, but I just put a little bit in for a little kick and a little bit of flavor. Taste that again. We're perfect, we're right there. So onto my thermos now. Now I got it hot, and now I don't need to worry about heating up the soup. When I'm ready to serve the grilled cheese sandwiches, it's ready to go. So our pan is here getting hot. It's cast iron. I like to use cast iron. I use cast iron on the last show too. Holds heat really well. It's easy to put in the boat. You see, I'm just gonna lube it up with a little bit of butter here. And this is my little grilled cheese sandwich trick here. What makes a real crispy bread grilled cheese sandwich is I put a little mayonnaise on the outside of the bread. And that's gonna make it nice and brown, but I'm still got butter in the pan, so it's still gonna come out nice and buttery. But the mayonnaise is easy to spread when you're outdoors in the cold. Taking a piece of hard butter and trying to spread it on bread is a nightmare. Mayonnaise gives you that crisp on the outside and golden brown. Really like mustard with my grilled cheese sandwiches. I have this Sierra Nevada spicy brown porter mustard. Really delicious stuff. Another great California product. And I just spread a little bit on the inside of the bread. And I got my cheese, my mustard, everything's good. I'm only putting the mayonnaise on one side right now until I get in the pan. So now I have that butter in the pan. I'm going to put a little bit more butter, make sure I have a nice layer of butter in the bottom of the pan now, so that bread can soak up that delicious butter. And then I put my sandwiches in. Now I have the other side up, and now I can add mayonnaise onto the other side. So I just take the bread and just spread a little mayonnaise on this side. So I'm ready to go for when I flip my sandwiches over. So I'm going to put more butter in because I'm flipping them over. So I learned the mayonnaise on the grilled cheese sandwiches when I was in culinary school. We had a program where we had to make lunches for a local college, and I think one day we had to make 300 grilled cheese sandwiches, and I was like, oh my god, I make 300 grilled cheese sandwiches. We went to go get the butter. It was hard. One of the chefs, the French chef, Chef Michel, was like, oh, I have the answer. They're right here. No problem. We get the mayonnaise out. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? He put mayonnaise, he slathered mayonnaise all over this bread, and like we're putting cheese on it, and all of a sudden we're making 300 grilled cheese sandwiches, and they came out perfect. So that's where I learned that trick. It came from something where I was like, this guy's nuts. And I was like, it's actually really good, and it works for this application of being outdoors really well. We're not making 300 grilled cheese sandwiches today. We're making 3, but still gonna make this sandwich. Look at how beautifully brown that is. I mean, it's just golden brown and crunchy. It's like you can tell it's all crispy and crunchy on the top. And to me, that's grilled cheese sandwiches. They taste so good, but it's really a textural thing for me as well. Like you get crispy, creamy, all together, and I love having textures when I'm eating. All right, so I'm gonna hit the heat off. These are starting to brown on the other side. I'm gonna let that kind of heat go through. You can kind of see they're brown on both sides now. They're looking really good, but I want that heat to go through. That cheese is starting to really melt, because you can tell, because now the sandwich isn't falling apart when I flip it over. That one's a little dark, but that one's for me. I like it that way. And we're just gonna get that heat going through those sandwiches. And like I said, once I feel like they're at the perfect amount of brown and they spent enough time here in the pan, I'm just gonna take them and wrap them in paper towel, and that heat transfer is gonna happen. So I'm gonna take like 2 pieces, fold it over. These things are looking like, look at this, cheese is like ooey gooey, like oozing out, and oh my god. So amazing. All right, I have a little bit of salami that I brought with me too, that I'm just gonna cut some nice pieces of to go along with our sandwiches. This is diavolo, so it's pork sausage, Lano Seco pork, red chili, garlic, red wine. Little hack on here on the containers. Go to your local supermarket and go to their prepared food section and rate it and grab a few if you're going out on the river or whatever. They're perfect thing, and you don't have to buy this giant package of them. So they're gonna get me one day, but for now I've gotten away with it. Every time I do a trip, I go in there and grab some plastic silverware and containers, because I don't need a ton of them sitting around my house all the time. So that's it. We're out on the river using 1 pan and 1 pot to make 1 lunch. Tomato soup, hot tomato soup, hot grilled cheese, and some salami. I mean, perfect lunch for a chilly day out here. Give you enough energy to go get more steelhead.